Is your business growing? That's the question we address right here on the Grow Your Biz Show. This is the place I interview strategic entrepreneurs who can inform and inspire and help you get to where you want to go with your small business. Hi, I'm Paul Madsen, and this is episode number 66 of the Grow Your Biz Show. And I'm thrilled today because we have two guests from the Edge magazine. And Kathy,
yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Kathy
Nice
Ray,
to be here.
and Carole Sprunk from the Edge magazine, publisher as well. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here. I've been chasing Kathy for months and months to get her on the show, and finally all the schedules worked out, and so great to have you here. Great to have you here.
Nice to be here.
I'm going to jump right in and just start out with our very first question.
Sure.
Carole, what business are you in?
We are in the business of providing an upscale print publication featuring lifestyle throughout Omaha. And we do this with partnerships with different advertisers trying to reach the affluent West Omaha market.
Well, great. It's the Edge magazine. Kathy, do you have anything to add to that great summary?
Yes, well, we do that by providing a high quality product that helps brand and promote our advertising partners so that they're able to get their message out to their target market.
Sure. And the target market, we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But the whole concept is that it is a quality magazine, a little bit, not just a supermarket thing that's just laying around on some poor print and all that, right?
Correct.
Okay, well, that's awesome. Well, let's jump right in with the next question then. Carole, what would you say as far as why you were in this business? Why did you select publishing of all things? A very interesting business.
Sure. So my background actually was in printing and mostly commercial printing and newspapers. And I got into Edge magazine because I had started a newspapers and education program through a weekly newspaper a couple of hours away from Omaha, and that allowed me to get children involved in printing and reading about news. And Edge magazine came around, and it's actually it's a good news piece, so it's a feel-good publication, which is why I fell in love with it.
The newspaper is newspaper oriented toward children was the previous business, the printing thing you were doing?
That was a section in a local newspaper.
A section, okay, gotcha.
Yes.
And newspapers aren't always good news, are they?
Not always. No.
So when you stumbled across the Edge opportunity, you said, that's for you?
Absolutely, 100%.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. And so you got your why comes from wanting to help communicate positive information, positive news, that kind of thing.
Yes, through print.
Yeah, through print,
that's
right.
very important to me.
You bet, you bet. Kathy, anything to add to that, the why part?
Well, we're all about sharing stories, and we want to be able to help tell stories of business owners, nonprofits in Omaha. We like sharing stories about kids and youth, so that's really what our focus is telling those stories.
Well, and that's what does so well, and I know you and I have talked about it before. I've heard you speak how print lasts, you know.
Yes.
I mean, you get all the different highlights and notifications on your phone and swipe it away or something, or newspapers are in the bird cage the next day, right? But I think I have 100 of these lying around my house that I just won't throw away.
Right.
Not 100, but a bunch. My wife would say it's 100, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the longevity of it is really important. I can see that's important to you to have that quality publication out there. You bet. Well, you know, speaking of publications, there are a lot of publications out in the marketplace. You got all the free ones, the paid ones, national magazines, newspapers. Of course, internet is competing for people's time and attention. What differentiates Edge magazine from all this other noise out there? And I'll let either one of you go with that.
I would say it is the fact that we are a niche publication, and it's the target market that we have, the demographics that
what is your niche? What is your target market?
So we do target the affluent West Omaha market, and so we distribute directly, we direct mail to homes throughout West Omaha, Elkhorn, Bennington, Gretna,
Okay.
Waterloo, and Valley. And there's certain demographics that those,
Kind of zip
homes-
code selected and that kind of thing?
Right, right.
And mailing, that's pretty expensive, isn't it, Carole?
Yes.
So you go to a lot of work to get it in front of the right people.
Correct.
And so, how do your advertisers relate to that? Is that what, what do they think about your target markets? Is that where they want to be, or what's going on with that?
Yes, so we are very specific in who we align with, and our advertising partners want to reach that market, and it's through a high quality print publication. So it's very much focused.
Well, as Kathy said, we get our message out there,
Yes.
get their message out there is the way you get your message
Right.
out there too. And you have a little bit different, I think, because of some nonprofit stories and focus as well.
Right, so we tell lots of different stories. We like to tell stories of the smaller local nonprofits and, help give them a voice that they might not otherwise have.
Right.
And we also like to share stories of local business owners. We have a Varsity Corner section that features local outstanding high school student athletes.
Okay,
We also
I've
have
seen that,
a
sure.
youth section that helps share stories of kids in the community who are doing other extraordinary things. They might do interesting community projects or have other unique talents that we like to tell.
Sure. The most recent December issue talks about the Entrepreneur Fair. Carole, any ideas about that story that you want to share?
Sure. We got involved with the Children's Business Fair early on as a way to showcase children who are trying to grow a business from a very young age.
Yes.
So it was a unique fair full of all kinds of products and services that children are offering, and it's unique to watch them at their young stage want to grow a business.
Well, yeah, that's a neat story, and you got some great pictures in here, and that's neat that you take the time to focus on those stories that make up a community, right?
Right.
It really makes the community come together and around that. So, well, let's back up a little bit. I mean, how did you told a little bit, Carole, about that you were in the print business before this? How did you? What did you do before that? What was your background as far as, again, setting you up to be this entrepreneur with Edge Magazine?
Sure. Actually, printing was my background. Along the way, so I've had Edge Magazine for about 2 years now. Along the way, that creative outlet has allowed me to start another business, which was Clout Coffee. But yeah, we just...
Well, and I forgot to introduce the fact that this is an entrepreneurial cornucopia show. Because it's not just about the small business of Edge Magazine, it's also about a couple other entrepreneurial endeavors that you all have. Well, you open the door, let's talk about Clout Coffee.
Yeah, so this was my creation, which stemmed from a love of bourbon and coffee. So I'm on my 4th barrel now, and yeah, it's just launched it
You're
in
in the
July
coffee
of this
business,
year.
and your
So,
job is
yeah.
to get beans out to. Do you distribute online through grocery stores, or
Yes.
how do you get it out there?
Online mostly, but I'm expanding my reach through grocery stores. And as of right now, online, I'm shipping across the entire country.
Wow, okay. And how do you promote it? Is there an ad in Edge Magazine for Cloud Coffee?
There is.
I should know that. I didn't get to the latest edition.
There is an ad. Because I'm in the early stages, that's, other than social media, Edge is my outlet for marketing.
Okay, sure. Well, demand, supply, tell us about how it's going.
It's going really well. I'm excited to announce that I'm working on a collaboration with a couple of other Omaha businesses for a unique Valentine offering, which I'll get into more detail in down the road. But it's fun to work with other local businesses and create new, unique products.
Yeah, and the name is great. If I'm going to drink coffee, I want some coffee with Cloud.
Yes.
Tell us about the bourbon and the blend, the concept that you're merging together.
Sure. So each batch is barrel aged and small batch. I start with green coffee beans, and they spend some time in bourbon barrels before they are roasted.
Okay.
So every barrel comes from a different distillery. Some are local and some are national, and then each batch has a unique, different taste to it.
Sounds like a lot of logistics to get that all coordinated and going in one spot, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, what's next for Cloud Coffee? Where does that go from here?
To get into more stores, create new packaging for smaller sizes, and potentially a subscription-based coffee.
Well, I'm mad you didn't bring any of the bourbons as samples.
Yeah.
We could have had coffee
first
here,
and
I
then
guess. Maybe after the show. Okay.
Right, yeah.
Well, that sounds like an interesting. And how long have you been at this?
About 6 months.
Oh, really? So it's
Yes.
to be going through all that demand in that period of time. What do you do social media-wise? I mean, let's say there's somebody out there who wants to get something started themselves with a beverage or whatever, in social media. What's worked for you?
I have probably the most success with Instagram and Facebook.
Sounds like a great Instagram product.
Yeah, it is.
Kathy, why is Instagram good for this? Tell us. You're a media.
Well, I follow Cloud Coffee on Instagram, and it's great because you can actually see the product, and you can see anytime she's got a new barrel going, she posts pictures of that, or obviously the new packaging when they.
Sure.
When the new product comes out. So it's a great way. And obviously with something like Instagram, you do have, again, it's that niche target market.
Yeah.
And so when you have people who are, bourbon aficionados as well as coffee, and then they find the two together, it's just a natural fit.
Makes sense. And Instagram, Carole, is image focused, right?
Yes.
And so that's the perfect outlet
Right.
for what we see here. And you show behind the scenes of making it and things like that?
I do. I do a lot of behind the scenes. I think that's what people want
I
is
think you're right. Yeah.
experiences and to understand the stories. So I do blog posting about it and promoting the why behind it and the how and the ups and downs.
Yeah, well, that's a great story. That's I think you found a good vehicle for it, Instagram, and I need to get more involved with that, but I don't really have a product. I have a service, the show, and things like that. But
well, we do that with Edge Magazine as well, with
Tell them
Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
We do a lot of behind-the-scenes
Yeah,
photos. So
okay.
if we're doing a photo shoot on one of our stories or something like that, then a lot of times we'll snap some behind-the-scenes
Oh, yeah,
photos and,
yeah.
and put them up. So.
Well, I think people want to know that. They don't want just a packaged, cold front-end story. The know, the like, and the trust thing, and that comes from disclosure and behind the scenes, right?
Right.
Well, that's great. Well, that's a great behind-the-scenes story on your other entrepreneurial endeavors. Kathy, tell us about yours.
Well, I have been a writer my whole life. And
I've seen her book. I've seen her book.
My first book when I was in second grade. Yes,
yeah, I've seen it. It's great. Very
you.
neat printing.
And I have a degree in magazine journalism,
Oh,
so
wow.
I've always wanted to work in magazines, and have done a lot of magazine work in the past for different publications in different regions of the country.
Okay.
And then in 2009, I decided I wanted to get into actual children's book writing.
You and 10 million other people.
Yes, right.
But what's different than that? I mean, what's different about you and 10 million people is this. You've got
Yes,
an execution.
I do. I actually have 7 books that have been
7.
published, yes. And they are all chapter books, and they start with very easy chapter books for kids in kindergarten, first and second grade, to kind of more middle grade chapter book for third, fourth, and fifth graders, and then true middle grade books for fourth, fifth, and sixth graders.
Okay.
And all of the books that I write fall under the genre of magical realism. So that means that they take place in the real world, but there's always some element of magic or fantasy that
that's
happens.
fun. Well, kids want to be kids and escape with that kind of thing.
Yes.
What made you? You obviously had a lifelong interest in writing. Was there an aha moment? Children's books. That's what I want to write.
Yes, when my oldest son was in kindergarten, we were reading a chapter book at the time together, and he said, and he knew I liked to write, and he said, "Mom, can you write me a chapter book?" And I said, "Sure, why not?"
Well, You had a guaranteed audience of one.
Yes. So that's actually how I got started.
Always nice to have the focus group, right?
Right. And
A/B
then
testing, A says yes. How old was he at the time?
he was in kindergarten,
Oh, wow.
and he's now 15.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, so that was the very first one that I did.
So you've been doing this for a long time. And tell us about the
Geocaching.
Caching.
So my latest middle grade series, the Crystal Cache series, it's an adventure series that revolves around geocaching, which is real life treasure hunting.
Okay.
And so they're adventure, kind of magical adventure books.
Sure.
Yes, and the fourth one just came out in the last week, and all of the books are available on Amazon.
Wonderful.
So,
Okay.
yes.
So, and Kathy Sadem rig on Amazon as far
Right.
so that people can.
Or
the easiest
or
way
you
is to
can
look up by
you
author.
can look up Crystal Cache.
Crystal Cache.
Yeah,
okay.
and
okay.
books on Amazon.
Great,
so.
Amazon. And do you have your own website that
I
does
do,
it as well? Okay.
yes, and that
What
is actually KSRwriter, WRITER.com.
Okay.
And all of my books are on there as well.
Perfect.
Yes.
Carol, forgot to ask you what the website is for Clout Coffee.
It is
Or the social.
cloutcoffee.com.
Say it again.
Cloutcoffee.com.
Oh, that's hard to remember. CLOUT. Okay, great. Well, I think it's great how you both have multiple endeavors and angles and things going on. As entrepreneurs, again, the show is aimed at people who want to either launch or grow their own small ventures. What speed bumps have you both run into along the way that you've learned from? Whether it's a magazine, whether it's children's writing, whether it's coffee, what bumps have been put in front of you that you've overcome, and how do you advise to people to conquer their own speed bumps?
Sure.
Go ahead, Carol.
Well, a variety of
Unless you don't have any. Everything's smooth
Name
sail.
one person who doesn't. A variety of bumps. You run into supply issues, inventory issues, everything. I
Yeah.
guess family issues.
Yeah,
You,
well, sure,
I mean,
'cause
you
you're-
sacrifice a lot when you are growing a
It's
business.
the time
so-
thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you overcome some of those? Let's say the family thing, the time thing.
Sure. You just keep going through it. If you have, if anything is pressing, hurdles, problems, whatever, you work through it. You analyze and you refocus and you keep going.
So you don't just create this 50-page business plan and everything just rolls out like that based on the business plan?
It's a nice guideline. It doesn't always work that way.
And then, Kathy, we go to the basketball illustration. Pivot,
Right.
pivot. Because it always changes, doesn't it? How about you with the
Exactly.
writing world? What's gotten in your way? What have you had to conquer?
Well, very similar, life happens.
Yeah.
And so you need to tend to those things when they happen, and that's, not a good or not a bad thing. You have to do that. And so then you just have to, make sure you get right back into it as soon as you can. And similar to, having the 50-page business plan that a lot of times you don't follow, when you're writing a book, a lot of times you have an outline to write the book, and you have to go off outline.
The voices in your head.
Right.
Say, no, he wouldn't do that. Do you ever have your family or kids read some of what you've done? And
Oh, my 15-year-old is actually my proofreader.
there you
Yes,
go.
he is a voracious reader and is actually a very good final proofreader. So whenever I get my advanced reader copies from my publisher, then I give it to him
Awesome.
and say, read through this, and every single time he'll find something.
Yeah, I hate that.
I know.
That's the hardest part of writing. I've got a few books of my own, and that's just a chore sometimes, isn't it? Well, what's neat about that story is that he's grown up with these books.
Exactly.
So he kind of knows your style and your flavor, and Mom, this guy wouldn't do that, or
Well, and he's well beyond reading middle grade books now.
yeah.
And so with this most recent one, I said, did you like it? He said, yeah. I said, are you telling me the truth? He said, no, Mom, I really liked it.
Okay.
So,
And can I still live here? How about you, Carol? Do you have sample? You stay with the same formula all the time, don't you? Pretty much. You don't tweak formulas, the flavor of coffee along the way, or do you?
Well, it changes with every barrel, so
Oh, really?
flavors change.
Is that right? I
yeah,
didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, different bourbons have different tasting notes, and so when you combine that with coffee, you're going to get some variation
Okay.
in flavors.
So that's interesting. It keeps the variety going and some guesswork going for some of the people as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Oh, great. Well, as we wind down here, and I think you've already given it. You said persist, you say juggle, you say iterate, you say pivot. Any other advice for the budding, fledgling entrepreneur, solopreneur out there, maybe wanting to launch their thing after X years in corporate and that kind of thing? Any further advice for them?
I would say that if they have that idea, they need to verbalize it and start telling people, and make that a reality versus just an idea or a dream. And the more that you verbalize it to people, the more you start to meet others and network with others, and you never know who you might meet that could help you.
You've said that before, and I really agree with that, because every time you bounce an idea off somebody, it might come back a little different. You might go a different direction. It's part of that constant tweaking, isn't it?
Right.
Well, that's terrific. Get out there, talk to people. How many people should you talk to, Carole, to get your feedback? What's a good
I
focus
think
group?
everyone.
Everyone. I like it. Okay.
My middle son is always encouraging me, even in the drive-through. He's like, talk to that person in the window about your coffee.
That's great.
So he's very encouraging. But I think you have to stay passionate about
Right.
what you're doing, because there are going to be days when you wake up and you don't want to do it. But if you are passionate about it and you stay the course.
Right. Well, those are two great pieces of advice, and I hope our audience heeds that. I know I have along the way, and it doesn't always go the right way, and sometimes you just have to learn the new way you're supposed to go by going down the wrong way, right?
Right.
Well, one thing about Edge Magazine we forgot to talk about is it's more than a magazine. It's also an event, isn't it? Who wants to talk about that?
I can take that one. So in 2019, we're going to be launching our new Inside Edge events. And the idea behind this is to bring the printed pages of the magazine to life.
To life.
Yes, yes. And a way for our readers to connect even more with our advertising partners in person. So we will be doing 6 events in 2019 during our off-publication months, and partnering with our advertisers and local businesses and doing some really fun things.
You tell us about one you had already.
Well, we haven't had one. Our first one is
okay.
actually coming up in January,
Okay.
January 17th.
Okay.
But in the December issue that you have there, we feature Sternella as our dining feature. And so in January, we're actually going to have the event at Sternella, and people can experience Sternella firsthand and all the great food and,
What's neat is about, we've said it before, you build a community. And with a magazine, and now you're bringing that community to life with getting people together. Carole, any last thoughts?
I think it is a really great way for us to round out as a business, through social media, through print, and now through live. We want to be
The people behind it.
Yes,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, we got your names in the front page, inside the cover here, but and your pictures, but now we get to meet you. Advertisers get to meet their public. It's a wonderful idea, I think. Wonderful idea. Well, great. Hey, thank you both for coming out for the show. I wanted a little plug at the end here for myself. Coming up in January is my course, Self-Promotion for Self-Employed. It's through the Metropolitan Community College. Come on out for that. We have a lot of fun with branding, marketing, self-promotion, all those kind of things. And also coming up in March will be another retreat. You'll hear more about that as well. Details will be soon out on growmedia.com. I'm Paul Madsen with Kathy Rigg.
Thank you.
And Carole Sprunk. Good to have you today. Thank you. And everybody check out Edge Magazine. We'll see you next time on the Grow Your Biz Show.